I was not planning to stop anywhere. I was cutting through the mall on my way back from a dentist appointment, just trying to get to my car before the evening rush. That's when I saw my son. He was standing near the food court entrance, back half turned, head down, counting something in his hand. I slowed down. I thought maybe he had dropped change. But the way he was standing, shoulders curled inward, it didn't look like someone counting change for a coffee. It looked like someone counting whether they could afford lunch. My son is 39 years old. He is a licensed electrician with 15 years of experience. He earns $94,000 a year. I walked up behind him and said his name. He spun around so fast, he nearly dropped everything. And when I saw his face, I felt something cold settle in my chest that had nothing to do with the October wind. Over the next 40 minutes, at a corner table near the window, my son told me things I am still struggling to fully absorb. And when he was done, I drove him home, sat in my car, and made a plan. My name is Carol. I'm 63. I worked for 31 years in HR management for the federal government. I know how documentation works. I know how systems work. And I know my son. He helped me reshingle my roof 2 summers ago. He calls me every Sunday without fail. He coached his nephew's hockey team for 3 seasons. He is the kind of man who brings leftovers in a container because he thinks food court prices are highway robbery. So when I saw him counting coins for lunch, I knew something was very wrong. We sat down, and he started talking. What I did not know yet was that the woman he married had spent 2 years quietly, systematically, removing my son's access to his own money, his own truck, his own family. And that her mother had helped her do it. It started gradually, he said. That's always how it starts. Small things. His wife, I'll call her Renata, had started handling the household finances about 2 years into their marriage. She was organized, she had a system. My son is a practical man, not a paperwork man, and he had been relieved to hand it over. His paychecks went into their joint account. He always had access. Then Renata's mother, Vera, moved in from out of state. Just temporarily, Renata said, just until she gets back on her feet. That was 14 months ago. Vera never left. Within a few months of Vera arriving, the joint account was closed. Renata said they were opening a new one at a different bank. Better interest rates, she said. My son signed the paperwork she put in front of him one evening without reading it carefully. He trusted her. The new account was in Renata's name only. His paychecks were redirected there through a direct deposit chain she had arranged, telling him the old account had a monthly fee. I want you to let that sit for a moment. His earnings going into an account he could not access. When he asked Renata for money, for gas, for lunch, for a new pair of work boots after his old ones cracked through, she gave him an allowance. That is the only word for it. $60 a week for a grown man, a licensed electrician, a homeowner. $60. His truck, a Ford F-150 he had bought himself before the marriage, Renata had started driving it. She told him the insurance was cheaper if she was the primary driver. He had believed her. After a while, she had simply kept it, and he had gotten used to taking the bus to job sites. For 8 months. 8 months riding the bus to work sites in January, saying nothing. When I asked him why he didn't call me, this is the part that broke my heart. He said, because Renata told me that if I went to you, it would prove I wasn't committed to the marriage. She had made my son feel that calling his own mother was a betrayal. When he asked to see the bank statements, Renata said he was being paranoid, that this was exactly the kind of controlling behavior that made her feel unsafe. She used that word, unsafe, about him asking to see his own financial documents. He stopped asking. When he asked about the mortgage, Renata said she was handling it. He had not seen a mortgage statement in over a year. Both names were on the deed, but only one of them knew what was happening to it. Vera had left him a voicemail 3 months earlier. She said very clearly, "If you ever think about running to your mother or a lawyer, Renata will make sure you regret it." The next morning, I called a family lawyer. She had been practicing family and financial law for over 20 years. This has taken $94,000. The vehicle registration. Nothing to Renata about what we were doing. He opened a new his money, date, time, every entry dated, detail. One Saturday morning, I parked down the street from their house. My lawyer had suggested that if the truck was being driven without my son's consent, a time-stamped photograph of who was driving it could be relevant. I watched Vera come out of the house, get into my son's F-150, and drive away. His truck, registered in his name, without his knowledge or permission. I photographed the plate and the time. I sent it to our lawyer. She wrote back within the hour. "Good. We're ready to move." We arranged a formal meeting at the lawyer's office, with Renata notified in writing that the meeting concerned shared property and financial matters. She had the right to bring her own lawyer. She brought Vera instead. That told our lawyer everything she needed to know about how this household operated. When our lawyer laid out the documented salary versus the $60 weekly allowance, Renata said my son had agreed to it. Our lawyer asked for that agreement in writing. There was none. Yet our lawyer raised the voicemail and played it on speaker in that office. Renata went pale. A voicemail threatening my son against seeking legal help constituted, our lawyer explained, potential witness intimidation. The mood in that room changed. What followed was paperwork. It took several weeks. It was exhausting. It was expensive. But here is what was agreed to. With both lawyers present, everything signed. Renata would restore my son's full access to the joint finances immediately. She would return sole use of the truck within 48 hours. She would provide full mortgage statements for the past 14 months. And Vera, who had no legal tenancy agreement, would vacate the shared home within 30 days. My son did not get everything he deserved. The legal process is slow. Settlement is imperfect. There were nights he stayed at my house and barely slept. But here is what is true today. He is living in an apartment he chose himself. He is driving his own truck. His paycheck goes into his own account. He's sleeping. Finally. Like a person who has set down something very heavy. He is coaching his nephew's hockey team again. He called me last Sunday. Same as always. His voice sounded like him again. Last month, he came over, and we raked the leaves in the backyard together. When we came inside for tea, he sat at my kitchen table and said, "Mom, I'm sorry I didn't call sooner. I said. You called when you were ready. That's enough, he said. I kept thinking there was something wrong with me, that I was the problem. I said, that's what they wanted you to think. He was quiet for a bit. Then he said, what made you follow up that day at the mall? I said, you were counting coins for lunch. You, who always brought leftovers in a container because you said food court prices were highway robbery. He laughed. First real laugh I had heard from him in longer than I could say. If you were watching this, and something in this story feels familiar, I want to say one thing. Financial control is abuse. It does not require raised voices or broken furniture. It is quiet. It is slow. It is designed to make the person experiencing it feel like they are the unreasonable one. If someone you love has stopped talking about money, started seeming apologetic about small purchases, pay attention. Ask a simple question. Sit with them and listen. That is all I did. I just listened. And then I made some phone calls. My son is going to be all right. I know that now.